Hello and welcome. My name's Evan, and today I should be doing my first review in years, covering two of my most favorite Thomas characters ever, Donald and Douglas, and their many diecast variations throughout the years. From their launch in 1992 with Ertl, and to their final releases in 2017 under the Take and Play brand, we're looking at the past, and again the past. Let's get started. Donald and Douglas' first ever diecast models were released during the year 1992, and then would later sadly be discontinued in the year 2004. The twins throughout this year would stay mostly the same. The only thing changing would be the style of packaging through the years. When it came to detailing and accuracy of the models to the television counterparts, they were pretty well done. The lining was right, the nameplates were right, everything was nice and crispy detailed. The only gripe I have with the models would probably have to be their sizing compared to other engines, which is not just a problem with them. A lot of Ertl products have that problem, whether it be Toad looking gargantuan compared to Oliver, or Toby towering over Gordon. All things considered, Donald and Douglas' Ertl versions are by far some of the best looking out of the range, and I'd gladly say they're my second favorite version of the twins. On to the next era. Sadly, Ertl would stop making the Thomas toys in the year 2004, but a year later, something else picked up the license. Learning Curve did, and we got arguably one of the best lines of Thomas products in a long while, the Take-Along range. And this is where the diecast models went from good to great. Oh my god, Toby isn't taller than Gordon? Let's go! Clowning on Ertl aside, I genuinely believe that Take-Along's one of the best Thomas ranges to ever come out, and that is probably my nostalgia talking. This was the type of toys I grew up with as a kid. And it wouldn't be too long till Donald and Douglas were released in the Take-Along range. And again, they didn't go through many changes once they were released. Mostly the only changing about them was the style of packaging they were in, and the fact that they never got a twin pack release, which is, in my opinion, a lost opportunity. Upon looking at Donald, you can clearly tell a lot of effort was in to make sure to keep all the details that he had in the show. Whether it be the boiler bands, the hand railing, the whistles, the nameplates, the lining, and the number on his tender, you can clearly tell a lot of effort was put into this model. Even though it's a good model, I do have my gripes with it. The red running board, instead of it, the red should have been black on the running board. The whistles, nameplate, hand railing are a lot more flat colors instead of it being a more metallic-y design, which I feel would have been better suited to making it look a lot more realistic and close to how it looked in the television series. But besides that, it's got its accurate wheel arrangement, and the face, admittedly, is somewhat nightmarish from the eyebrows are gone. And for a sense of scale, here's Donald next to two Ertl fuel tankers, my custom Take-Along Duck model, my custom Adventures Thomas model, my Adventures Gordon model, the Trackmaster Push-Along Rebecca model, a modified Trackmaster Push-Along Diesel model, and the All Engines Go Thomas Push-Along model. Even with all the faults in mind of the Take-Along Donald model, I still love it, as well as the entirety of the Take-Along range. It was the stuff I grew up with, so naturally I'm a bit biased, but still, even with my bias in mind, I still think these are some of the best Thomas toys to ever come out, ever. They're consistent and well detailed. And that's why the Take-Along Donald and Douglas are my favorite versions of Donald and Douglas in any of the diecast ranges to be released so far. It's just consistent and overall, besides the missing eyebrows, very lovely faces. And that's why they'll always be my favorite. But before we get to the last line that ever made Donald and Douglas models, let's have a little bit of a fun fact. During the 60th anniversary of Thomas & Friends, they released a whole plethora of metallic engines. You had your standard main core characters like Thomas, Percy, Diesel, Edward. We also had characters like Molly, Neville, and Rosie, which is weird because out of all the main 11, Donald and Douglas were skipped. I did do some research into why they weren't made, but so far I found nothing on it, which is very strange they'd be the ones that get skipped, and we get characters like Molly and Neville instead. And now I move on to the last diecast versions of Donald and Douglas to be released to this day. And admittedly, they're certainly last and least, in my opinion. Sadly, Take-Along would be discontinued in the year 2009. But the year after, we would get Take and Play being launched by Mattel. And this is where things kinda stayed the same. Well, for the first year, it was mostly just the same products, just new packaging. But eventually they started rolling out new changes, like CGI faces, metallic engine parts like whistles, handrails are now finally the right color. And that's really it for the most part. Nothing changed. And that's pretty good. It was able to stay consistent with what came before it. And it wouldn't be a year later till we eventually got Donald & Douglas released in the Take and Play format. Upon looking at Take and Play Douglas, it's clear to see a lot of changes were made to update the model to better fit how it looked in the show, down to the new face looking a lot less of a forced smile, and the fact that the buffer beam is now red while the running board is pure black, so it better suits the way it looked in the television series. He even updated the side details with a metallic finish and adding more handrails to the cab and boiler. The red and white lining across the cab and the tender have both been well applied, as well as the number 10 on the tender. Looking at it from the top down, you can clearly see they molded the safety valve gear and the whistles together. And surprisingly, they kept the firebox detailing from the take-along model, which most of the newer engines don't really have, so that's kinda cool. And just like that, we've covered all 3 versions of the Diecast Donald & Douglas models. Honestly, these ones probably have to be my 3rd favorite out of the other 2, since I don't really hold them that much in a high regard. What? What do you mean there's one more? Oh.
Holy Jesus! What is that? What the f*** is that?
In 2014, Mattel redesigned the Take-Play engines. Instead of being one-for-ones with what came before it, they became squashed, flattened, and elongated to hell and back. They ruined it by slapping the wooden railway magnets onto the Take and Play engines, and sadly, Donald & Douglas would not be spared this redesign. I'm not sure when they came out, but I take a wild shot in the dark. It'd be around 2015, I'm pretty sure, because that's around the same year they made their return in Soda's Legend of the Lost Treasure. And yeah, these things look pretty atrocious. They have the right wheel arrangement, but everything about them makes me want to throw them into the nearest wall. Just like the rest of this era. If you're ever in the market for a diecast Donald & Douglas, don't buy these. They're not worth it. Unless you're some sort of take and play diehard fanboy, then go ahead. And just like that, we've covered all the Donald & Douglas models. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!